Oh, children, yes, I just, go play over there. I will be right here. I'll be watching you. Yes. Hold on. I've got a call. If you guys want to listen, they'll probably want a story. So you can sit here and get a story as well. So, it's just, I'm gonna sit on this bench. These do not work well with tails. I mean, I understand that most of the creatures that don't around here don't have tails, but those of us who do, we need a better bench. Hello, my friends. Hello. I am Nook of the book. Yes, you have caught me today at the park with my nephews. I did not introduce you to them last time. I have Samuel. He's right here. They call him the oldest, but like I said, they're triplets, so they all came out basically the same way. And then, of course, we have Daniel, Samuel and Daniel, and then Trevor. They thought they were getting... Put your hands over your ears. There you go. Okay. They thought they were only having twins, but it turns out they had triplets. So, Samuel, Daniel, and then they were like, oh crap, we've got one more. Trevor, that's a good name. Yes. So, Samuel, Daniel, and Trevor are right here with me. And they are, they wanted to go play, but now that they know I'm telling a story, children, what story do you want to hear? Do you want to hear the story of creation? Or do you want to hear the story about garden itself, huh? Garden? How much of the story of garden do you know? Do you know about the queen? Oh yes, you know about the queen. Do you know about the gilded grove? You know about the gilded grove. Do you know about the orange dictator? You do? Okay. Well, do you know who was the first person to come to garden? You don't? Well, don't worry. I know, because I am Nook of the book, and I actually know this firsthand. Yes. You see, I'll start this right now. Long ago, I came to realm space, and I was following a good friend of mine. He had decided that he wanted to explore the crystal spheres, and I told him, that's totally fine. You can go ahead and travel the crystal spheres. I'd rather stick with my books. And he said, oh, Nook, you need to go ahead and get out of your room. And I said, it's my home, and I can be wherever I want. And he said, oh, no, Nook, you need to come with me. So I said, fine, I will come with you. So, we went on a long expedition. It was myself and himself, and later on we met a wonderful young druid lady who, she decided to join our group as well. Yes, you see, she had a knowledge of a seedling of the world tree. And so she knew that the world tree was now in, an offspring of the world tree was in realm space. So we decided to go there. And originally we were going to go to the remnants of the broken sphere, but after finding out that the world tree was there, well, my friend, he was very good at all things plants. And I asked him, why didn't you become a druid? And he said, well, I wanted to, but my father didn't want to go ahead and send me off to learn how to be a druid. And I said, oh, friend, you can go ahead and go off and learn. It doesn't cost anything. And he said, really? And I said, yes. It's not like being a wizard. Wizards, you have to go to learn for years and years and years. Unlike sorcerers, where you just find out, children, my mother and someone in my family line had sex with someone who was very powerful in magic, so now I have magic. Or a warlock, where you basically say, hey, you want my soul, I want magic. Or a bard. We know what they did to get their magic, so we're not going to go into that. Anyways, we ended up going to realm space, and as we came across the different planetoids that we were coming across, we found what at the time was Garden. Now, it was not called Garden at the time. It was actually called I don't remember what it was called. It stopped. Now I know this because I've heard stories from people and astral beings. So they told me that originally the planet itself, like I said, I don't remember the name anymore, but the planet itself was a barren rock, which really kinda sucks. If nothing's gonna live there. But someone brought a seed of the life tree, the tree of life, Yggdrasil, and they planted it on the planet. Now, the person who did this, God being, I don't know who it was. I do know who it was, but that's for a story for another time. But this being, when they did that, they imbued it with a bit of its own abilities, and it grew. It grew and it grew and it grew, and in a matter of 1,000,000 years, yes, 1,000,000 years, children, in 1,000,000 years, the tree was as big as. Well, you children do not have. Well, actually, yes, we do. See, children, see that castle over there? Yes, the very tall one. Yes, it was almost slightly bigger than that. Yes, it was very big. And so when I showed up with my friend, and his, at that point, once we got to realm space, they were an item, and I was like, oh, are you guys gonna get married? And he goes, I wish we could, but, we'll wait and see. And I said, okay, you let me know, and if you need it, I'm welcome to be your best man. I'm right here if you need me, come on, give Nook a chance. I have never been a best man. My entire life, I've never been a best man. I mean, I've gotten married, and Hawk was my best man, but I wanted always to be a best man, but maybe one day I'll be a best man. There's still a lot of time left, in eternity, so it could happen. It could happen. You know what they say? Never a best man. Always just a man behind the guy who is the best man. I'm pretty sure that's the saying. I could be wrong. It was a saying that was I think it was a saying that getting off track. I'm sorry. Anyways, children, I know I'm getting. Trevor, can you wake up your brother? Yes, he fell asleep. Yes, Dennis fell asleep. Excuse me, Daniel fell asleep. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I got your name wrong. Okay. Samuel? Daniel? Trevor? Okay. If you want me to continue, I can continue. Okay. You're going to go play. Okay. Well, go play. I'll be right here, but I'm going to tell the nice people through my scrying orb the story of Garden. Because they probably haven't heard of it. They don't live here like you do. Yes, they don't. No, where they live, I don't know. They could be, across the street. They could live here on Garden, or they could live in another realm. I don't know. I really don't keep track of that. Okay, well, go play. I'll continue here. And this is much better, actually, because I can now curse. Oh, bloody hell, I love cursing. When it comes down to it, I'd rather be able to do. You limit vocabulary when you are not allowed to curse. But anyways, as I was saying, my friend and I, if you're wondering what his name was Sir. Yes, that was his whole name, Sir. If you're wondering why his name was Sir, I don't know. His parents named him that, and he didn't have a last name. It was just Sir. Now his friend, she was called Druid. Again, I don't know why they were, that was a name. That's what her parents named her, and she became a druid. So, it's like when you name a child. I knew of this one gentleman who was named Judge. Judge Reinhold, I think his name is. And I think his parents had very, very high hopes for him. He didn't become a judge, he became an actor. Yeah. So I think better at that point. I mean, Anyways, so Sir and Druid and I, we made it to what was now garden. And when we got there, the tree itself was huge, almost the size of, well, half of the size of what it is now. And when we got there, we landed our spelljammer, and at the time, the spelljammer we were using was just, it looked like a galleon ship, just basically a standard ship you'd find on any groundling planet. Yes, and we landed the planet, landed it in what at the time was just a very small pond. It later became the lake that, if you look over that way, there is, well, you guys can't see it. I'm sorry, this is a video, this is not a visual medium, this is a audio medium. So, well, anyways, off to my far left, there is a very large river that feeds into several of the tributaries and ponds here. Well, not really ponds, lakes here. And they started with that tiny pond. So, yes, that's where that came from. And again, I apologize. I know this is an audio medium, not a visual medium, so you cannot see what I'm pointing to. Really kind of sucks. Oh well. Anyways, so when we got here, the forest had actually leaked. Now, I do mean that leaked away from the tree itself. Now, here on Garden, now the forest, the jungle of Garden, actually continues on through the whole of Garden itself. But when we got here, most of Garden, it was still lush, but it was not jungle lush. It was more like a prairie with a forest sprouting up around the main tree. And so we decided. Ooh, I think somebody got into an accident in the spelljammer. Oh. See, this is why we need things called spelljamming cams. It's basically a little viewing orb that captures things so that when you're flying through space, if you end up wrecking with somebody, or if it was a pirate or something trying to get you, you can record that and send it back. Well, especially for if you meet up with a lawyer and they say, do you have any proof showing that my client did this? You'd be like, yes, I do. I have this little scrying orb here that got the whole thing. And they're like, oh, shit. And then, of course, you win your argument, and then you don't have to pay your own lawyer with Electrum. So, yes. Anyways, we decided to make a trek to the main tree itself. Now, the trek itself was not as dangerous as it is nowadays. Well, it was... You didn't have the variety of fauna animals that you did when what you have now. And in fact, back then, a garden around the tree didn't have the instabilities between the planes as it does now. It was very, very much different. We made our way, and it took us a couple days, and we finally made it to the beginning of the forest. Now, once we got there, Druid got a hint of the power of the tree itself. She could feel it flowing through the bottoms of her feet and up into her body. My friend Sir, when he held her hand, he could feel the energy as well. I let them do what they wanted because I was like, you know what, I'm just here to go ahead and record things, so, whatever. You people hold hands and keep old Nook out of there. That's fine. I know when I'm a third wheel. I know. Anyways, we continued on until we finally did get to the tree. Now, the animals that were on garden at the time, there were not the mantid creatures. There were not the living plants. Mostly, there was just rodent-like creatures. I believe they're now extinct on garden because they were eaten by the next step of rodent that came on. But the rodents that died out, they were called the RUSs. Yes, the rodents of ugly stature. I believe that's what it was. I don't know. I just remember someone called it RUSs, and so whatever. It's dead. It's dead now, so it doesn't matter. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little cranky. My tail's kind of crunched up in this bench. Maybe I'll stand. Nah, I'm too lazy. Really glad they put a jungle gym over there. And this area is so much better now that they've sit down and that the Queen has decided to create this area for more people to live on garden. Anyways, as I do apologize, it's just as you live, you see things change, and with a life like mine, I remember when all of this here was cornfields. No, that's the planet Spite. That was all cornfields. This was just... Oh yeah, this was all jungle. This is all jungle. Anyways, so we made our way to the tree itself, and when we finally got to the base of the tree, Druid put her hand on the base of the tree and felt the life force of the tree itself. Now, while we were traveling, Druid and Sir, like I said, they were becoming a very big item, and he was learning some of the druidic abilities as well. And when he got there, he was able to feel the energy of the tree as well. And together, the two communed with the tree. Now, unfortunately, the tree was not... It was alive, but it did not have a fully conscious spirit. That was something that was not like as today, where if you want to talk with the tree, you can, even you have the druidic abilities, or a ring that allows you to talk to plants, as long, of course, they're not perverts. You can go ahead and learn from the tree, but before then, it didn't have a conscious spirit. So, while we were there, Druid and Sir continued investigating to see why it did not have a spirit inside of it that was conscious. I, myself, I traveled a little bit around, and I was able to meet up with other species of animals, and I also met up with a young man who was on garden. Now, he had actually shown up after us. I know this because I asked him. I said, "Oh, sir, how long have you been on garden?" He said, "Oh, I just got here." I said, "Oh, what happened?" And he says, "Well, you see, I am part of a group called the Shadow Rangers, and we are looking for endangered and extinct, well, nearly extinct creatures, and we are trying to preserve them." And I said, "Oh, that's wonderful. So what are you here for?" And he goes, "Oh, we had a tip that there's these creatures called RUSs that are going to go extinct here." And I said, "How do you know they're going extinct? We saw like 10 just yesterday trying to eat our food." And he said, "Oh, maybe I heard wrong." And I said, "Oh, well, there's like 15 over there, right? And if you look right there, that's them." And he goes, "Oh, well, I'll grab some and I'll take them with me on my ship." And I said, "Oh, that's fine. What is a Shadow Ranger?" And he told me, and I said, "You're gonna be really nice." He goes, "What?" And I said, "If you had the ability to travel through shadows." And he said, well, how the hell do we do that? And I said, you know what, I've got a good friend that'll be able to tell you. Once I'm done here, I will get in touch with you. And I gave him a sending stone, and I said, now, this is sending stone. And he said, oh, I know what a sending stone is. And I said, that's wonderful. Now, you can only use it after 6. Once it's after 6, that's when we get prime minutes. If you use it before that, it costs a whole bunch. So do not do that, Tommy. Just wait until after 6 o'clock, especially on the weekends. Wait until after 6 on the weekends. And he said, what the hell's a weekend? And I said, oh, that's right. Those have not been invented yet. And he said, what does that mean? I said, shh. See, this is what happens when you hang out with time dragons. Before things happen, and then you find out, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. You know, it's like you go down to a place and you tell someone, oh, do you guys have any Velcro? And they say, what the hell is Velcro? And you try to explain it, and then you realize, halfway after explaining what Velcro is, that they don't have Velcro. And next thing you know, they're making millions and millions of dollars on Velcro, and you get shifted. I'm getting way off topic. I am very sorry. There's one thing I have never had to say to these children, and that is, do not put that in your mouth. Unlike Flannery, I've never had it. Wait. Oh no, that's not that's not Daniel or Samuel or Trevor. That is someone else's kid putting sand in their mouth. Okay. Anyways, so we were there for quite a while. And as we were there, I got very bored. And so I wandered around again. Like I said, I was the third wheel. I hate being a third wheel. It sucks because, if there's another person there, then, you could go with them and walk away and you could talk with each other and just play games. But if you are the third wheel... Okay, hold on. I believe that... Oh, that is a very large spelljammer. Anyways, yes, since this is now a very thriving port city, the spelljammers are very, very numerous here, to the point that I kind of wish it was back when they didn't have the port here. But if that was the case, then, the garden wouldn't be going as well as it was. It's doing well now. Even better than before. So, added an extra port does that. And of course tourism. Anyways, as I left, my friend Sir, and at that point they started using the words girlfriend and boyfriend. His girlfriend, Druid, had finally found a way to communicate with the tree. They used their druidic abilities to enter the tree itself. There, they were met with the spirit of the godlike being that had actually planted the seed. That being told them that one of them would be the protector of the tree, and the other would become the spirit. And they asked, what does that mean? And the god being told them, what it meant. It's basically one's going to stay in the tree and be a spirit, the other one's going to be, the guy outside at the tree, and, And they're like, well, what if we want to have sex? And he's like, oh, you people, always thinking about sex with your wieners and vaginas and other things. Cloacas. Anyways, I am not saying bad words, miss. I am just explaining things. Anyways, so they talked with the demigod, the godlike being, and after they decided that that Druid would become the spirit of the tree, and Sir, in a heartfelt plea, asked her if he could stay with her. And the godlike being said, well, if you stay here, you can never leave. And he said, well, as long as I can be with the love of my life, it does not matter. I will be here until the end of all things. Now, while this was happening, I was actually messing around. And I do mean messing around. I was out trying to discover some new minerals, which I did not. I did come across a new species of animal. It was it looked like a little bunny rabbit, but it was in pink, and it had a squirrel tail. It was horrible. And it was the only one there, so I used my magic to incinerate it. I think we dodged a bullet with that one. I think we really did. I mean, something like that seems unnatural. I mean, I can understand rabbits, and I can understand squirrels, but you put those two together, that's maddening. That's very maddening. Anyways, so when I finally came back after killing that pink rabbit squirrel thing, my friends were missing. And so I went to the tree and I was like, "Hello, sir? Druid, are you here?" And they were like, nothing, because they weren't listening. So I got very angry, and I started punching trees. That's not my most proud moment of my life, and I've had many non-proud moments in my life. So when you live as long as I do, you have plenty of moments where you're like, wow, I really wish that I had been blacked out at that moment, because honestly, that was terrible. So anyways, I stayed there for about 2 days, and by the end of the second day, I finally got a message from Sir. He appeared from the tree, and he told me, "My dear friend Nook." Who kebabs, you are coming back up. Oh, sorry. He said, "My dear friend Nook, I am sorry, but from now on you will have to travel by yourself." I said, "What happened? Did you people die? I was only gone for like a little while." He said, "No, Druid has become the spirit of the tree, and I have become its first druid." And I said, "But you're not a druid. You were studying to be a druid." He says, "Yes, but since I have merged myself and I am now a spiritual creature, I have the abilities of a full druid." I said, well, it's kind of cheating. People learn. I mean, you were talking about how you wanted to go to school to be a druid, but you didn't do any of the work." And he said, "Hey, Nook, just shut up, Nook, okay? I'm trying to tell you that Druid and I said, "But you said you're the druid." He said, "No, shut up. The Druid and I are staying here, and we are going to guide the growth of this planet." And I said, "Okay, kind of a dick move." And he says, "But if we do this right, then one day this tree will be a beacon of hope for all that come here." And I said, "Well, you're just saying that because you're stuck here now." And he said, "Damn it, Nook, just leave." And I said, "Fine, sir, I will leave." And so I trotted back to the ship, and I realized that I had left a lot of my stuff back at the base of the tree, so I walked back to the base of the tree, and he said, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I forgot my stuff." I got very upset, left without grabbing it, and he said, "Oh, I wondered when you were coming back for that." And I said, I'm very sorry about before. I just was coming off of I don't know if I'd call it a high or a low, but I had killed a creature that had sprung forth from the planet." And he said, What did it look like?" And I said, "Oh, it looked like the cross between a rabbit and a squirrel, and it was pink." And he said, "We made that for this place." And I said, "Oh." He said, "We made it so it could not die." And I said, "Well, I killed it." And that's when I had to take my stuff and leave. Yeah, so that's why I don't go back to the Gilded Grove, because if I do, I'll meet up with my friend Sir, and he will yell at me for killing their first creature that they created. So yeah, That's how the tree got its special soul. You can still feel it now. In fact, if you look at, see that, well, you can't see it, but the shrubbery over there, if you look at it, and you wave at it, the leaves will turn. Oh, they know that it's me. And the leaves are flipping me off. Maybe garden's not as good as I thought it was. I know it's good for pastries. But, you know, if the plants are gonna be... That is very rude, Shrubbery. You do not... If there are children here, that is a very rude remark, Shrubbery. I'm watching you. I'm watching you, Shrubbery. I mean it. You keep doing that. Nook knows how to cast fireball. And I am not going to stop. I will do what I did to... I'll do to you what I did to that rabbit squirrel thing. I will. You talk to the spirit of the tree and the first druid. Yes, you do that. And you find out that I will go ahead and fuck you up, Shrubbery. Everybody's looking at me weird. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry. It's just that you can't see it now, but the Shrubbery was flipping me off, and then he started making some other rude gestures. Yes, I know that's a shrubbery. I know you call it a bush. I call it a shrubbery. Anyways, I think that possibly I should wrap up this part here and grab the kiddos, because she is going to a god and talking to him, and it looks like she's pointing at me, and she's making a sing. She's calling me crazy or evil. Either way. Okay, yes, I'm going to go ahead and grab the children, and then I am going to open a portal back to my in-laws' home so I can, escape the law. Okay? So, Samuel, Daniel, Trevor, here. Okay. Come here. Okay. We're going. I know we just got here, but Uncle Nook was talking to the shrubbery over there, and yes, Uncle Nook can talk to shrubbery. Yes, he can talk to bushes too. Why are you snickering? Okay. You all have a wonderful day. I will be back later to give you more stories, especially a continuation of Garden, because I do come back, and not everybody's angry at me. I mean, there's a time where the first druid and I get back to be good friends again until I make some comment about him and loving trees. I know, I shouldn't throw stones because, of course, I fell in love with a flower druid, so, But I'm now with Daggy, and so I don't have to, okay, there's a lot of people coming. Okay, kids, come on, opening the portal. Okay, it's up. Okay, get in. Put that stick down. Put that stick, okay, get in there. You can take the stick, go. Okay, in and, bye, goodbye, ma'am. Goodbye, sirs. Bye. Toodles. Shit, grab the pig.